Good evening, Woke fam. It's Scott here from Woke Societies on a Thursday night for the first time live on this show, testing the grounds to see what the audience is like tonight. Otherwise, it would have been a record episode, but here we are. Tick tock, tick tock. How's everyone doing tonight? I was feeling the spooky vibes with October coming up and all that good stuff. I'm just happy to be here with all of you tonight. We got a lot to cover. As you guys can see, I have this wonderful shirt on that my wife bought me, and she came home with it, and I didn't know really what to say except that she wanted me to wear it for tonight. So there is a shirt here with a cat riding a shark that has a cowboy hat on. So let's just get that out of the way first. How's everyone doing tonight? How's everybody doing? Let me know where you're all from in the chat. Tell all the mods thank you because they are amazing people, amazing friends, and yeah, we're gonna have a good time tonight. We have a lot to cover as far as news. We've been asked to put on camouflage, ladies and gentlemen, and we're gonna go into that tonight. We have a lot of drops to cover, and it might be the last time I cover drops on this show. Until I feel comfortable doing it, but you'll see why tonight. We're gonna go into all that. But ladies and gentlemen, it's gonna be a good one. Yes, I see people are loving the cat shirt. Who wouldn't want to wear a shirt with a cat with a cowboy hat on riding a shark over a rainbow? It doesn't make any sense, but that's why it's funny. All right, we're gonna let everyone come in just a moment here. Everyone's gathering around. I love to see people come from all over the country to come in here, and all over the world. We're up over 700 viewers already. Hit the like button for me. Let everyone know we are the news now, ladies and gentlemen. Let everyone know. And as everyone's pouring in here, I wanted to introduce tonight's stream, the sponsor of the stream tonight, which is pill.net. The description in the link below goes directly to a censor-free platform, but I have a video ad to show all you guys, so go check it out, and we'll get this show on the road. Here we go.
Please register at pill.net today. It's a free, uncensored platform for sharing topics and truth.
Please check out our new live streaming feature. It is dynamic, powerful, and comparable to Twitch and YouTube. Use the hot filter to check out what's hot right now on pill.net. Alternatively, you can use the images and videos filter to check out just straight media. At pill.net, you can use hashtags to categorize your topics, such as hashtag Kids Lives Matter, which is a movement anyone can support. Use our commenting system to let others know your thoughts and opinions on their posts.
With our topic creation tool, you can dynamically create topics with as much text, media, or links that you want to include in your post. Or you can go live and stream directly to pill.net and tell the world exactly what they need to know. We are moving forward and have released our Pilled mobile application. It is available on iOS and Android. Just download it directly from our website. Join the fight for your freedom of speech today at pill.net.
Beautiful. Thank you guys for allowing me to play the ad here. When you guys support my sponsors, you're supporting this channel. And the best part about this is, ladies and gentlemen, the sponsor that I'm just showing you, there is nothing to buy. This is a free product, a product made by a beautiful team that are patriots, and all they want to do is they're trailblazers, and we're actually streaming on their platform right now. We're creating our own censor-free platform because we cannot depend on big tech for that, and we're going to get into that tonight as well. But go to pill.net, open that new free platform. It is It's a fantastic platform. I support it, and I love the team that's behind it. They're genuine people. And one of the VP of marketing is actually one of the mods in the channel right now, as you can see there. So great to have you all here tonight and all that good stuff. But as everyone comes in just a minute here, let's just have a little pre-show, and I want to talk about just some quick articles. So we know Trump is going for his re-election, and another day, another hit piece, and this woman comes out of the woodworks. This is from The Guardian. Donald Trump accused of sexual assault by former model Amy Doris. I wonder how much she got paid to come out at this time. But a former model has come forward to accuse Donald Trump of sexually assaulting her at the U.S. Open tennis tournament more than, hear this, 2 decades ago in an alleged incident that left her feeling sick and violated. I'm not even going to go into the rest of the article, but it's just funny to see, out of all the entire time that Trump's been president now for almost 4 years, now you're going to come out and you're going to do this. It's almost no news to me. You can be mad about it or not. I don't really care. I think it's a freaking joke. And that's all I'm going to say about it. But I saw that. Just something to keep aware on. These hit pieces are going to keep coming out every day. And if you guys really want to laugh right now, remember the Minneapolis Police Department and the Minneapolis City Council is abolishing police. They voted to abolish the police, right? And it's been nothing but chaos. And I want you guys to see what the response is, because it's been a little while since they abolished the police. And here's what they are saying here from the Daily Caller. Minneapolis City Council complains about crime spike months after voting to abolish police. No shit. Members of the Minneapolis City Council who voted 3 months ago to dismantle the police department are now expressing concern over crime spikes in the city. Who would have guessed? City Council members asked the Minneapolis police chief during a business meeting Tuesday how to grapple with an uptick in carjackings, robberies, and street racing. The city council members are asking the advice of the police chief. Do you think he wants to give these people any kind of advice whatsoever? Probably not. And one city councilman noted the drastic reversal on the part of his colleagues, saying he was flabbergasted that members who earlier wanted to abolish the police department are now claiming it is now not doing enough to fight crime. You cannot make this stuff up, ladies and gentlemen. When you get rid of the police, there is going to be a spike in crime, and guess what? Just like these rioters and Antifa and BLM, which we're going to talk about in depth tonight, along with direct energy weapons, and it's not going to be what you're thinking about. I know a lot of people are like, oh my god, direct energy weapons, blah. We're going to talk about it a little bit, but don't put your tinfoil hats on too quickly, all right? But what do you expect when there's no consequences to your actions, there's no fear of going back and doing the crime? And what do you think is going to happen? You're going to see spikes in crime, and now the city council wants advice from the police department on how to fix this. They would probably want to say, go F yourselves. Because that's what I would say. You want to get rid of us? This ain't gonna last. It ain't gonna be pretty out there too long, but they're gonna come to their senses real quick. They'll see. Still feeling a little bit under the weather, but I'm feeling better than I was yesterday. We're at 1,200 people already, which is great. Hit that like button, guys. Like, share, subscribe, and all that good stuff. So, all right, we're giving enough time for people to come in and all that good stuff. So what we're gonna do here, we're gonna watch a funny video as we always do to set the mood, and then we're gonna dive into the deep and dirty stuff because we got a lot to talk about tonight. So if you guys didn't see this video today, it's really, really funny. And I put up this tweet here because this lefty here, the rooftop half Korean, said, this is doctored and manipulated media. Yeah, after you watch the video, it's almost like, yeah, man, no shit. The left are terrible. They ruin everything. You can't laugh at anything. And we're gonna actually be laughing at the president today, but it's all good and fun. It's really good and fun. So if you guys haven't seen this video today, it was all over the internet. It's absolutely hilarious. It went viral. We're gonna watch some of it right now. Take a watch, and I'll see you guys on the other side of the intro.
I'm fighting very hard for border security, so important. I've already started building the wall. We built large sections, and we're fixing up a lot of other sections that are a mess.
So you have ports of entry, and we have great security at the ports of entry. And then you may have fencing or walls up and down, left and right, east and west. But I'll bet you as much food as we have pizzas, we have 300 hamburgers, many French fries. So maybe you guys can remember that when you say that I haven't spent the money. We spent the money. They can't believe themselves that they got away with it. They can't believe it. An impossible thing. And they like me. The last time, Chuck, you shut it down.
No.
And then you opened it up very
times.
quickly. And
20
I don't want to do what you did.
20 times.
Chuck, because we have a lot of Democrats here tonight, and I'm very happy about that. People don't realize that I have a lot of friends who are Democrats. Excuse me, did we win the Senate?
We won the Senate.
Bob Corker was going to be a senator for another 20 years. And then for some reason, he hit me.
Hello, welcome to Accordi Phone. Would you like to hear a sample from this week's news selection?
Okay, good.
Shall we play the full recording?
Good. Okay, I like to hear that. That's great. That's great. I'm hearing very good things.
Don't laugh, the man. I talk with my hands too, but he does play a mean accordion.
Thanks for tuning in to the land of the real. But it's like the Twilight Zone, the plan is surreal. It'll blow your mind when the plan is revealed. Bring it all to light, all the plans they conceal. Grab your flashlight, it's time to go down the rabbit hole. It's dark and hell is hot, dealing with satanic souls. The tide is turning, patriots are now in control. Apply aggressive pressure right now until they fold. Stay woke, open up your eyes and keep them peeled. All they do is lie, realize not everything is real. The project looking glass, the future is revealed. Future proves past, but there won't be any deals. Woke society's banned, you know it's time to go. Grab your popcorn, sit back now. Enjoy the shows of Aaron on the mic, so come on, join the flow. The wave is rising,
He
and
says
you know
it's
it's
part of
only
a familiar
gonna
plan.
flow.
In a recent piece, Revolver argued that Democratic operatives, including some who testified during the impeachment proceedings.
All right. Having some technical difficulties here on a Thursday night, but it's okay. Yes, Trump does play a mean accordion, but it's all right. We're gonna be all right here. So thank you guys for joining in the stream tonight. You guys are fantastic and all that good stuff. We're at almost 1,400 viewers. Hit that like button. You guys are really great. All right. Let's do this, shall we? So we've gotten so much breaking news in the last couple of days, but really we're waiting for these indictments, right? And we found some news out yesterday, and we're going to start here with the Senate panel approves subpoenas for Spygate figure Stephen Halper and 40 others. And this is what we've been waiting for as far as a public spectacle. A public spectacle of what these people are going to do when they get in front of a camera and speak in front of the public. We're not going to probably get much out of them, but it's going to be fun getting the clips out of it anyway. So let's just see here. A Senate committee voted along party lines on Wednesday to authorize depositions and subpoenas for 41 individuals as part of a review of the Trump-Russia investigation, and the vote authorizes Senator Ron Johnson, the Republican chairman of the Homeland Security and Government Affairs Committee, to subpoena Stephen Halper, a former University of Cambridge professor who served as a confidential source for the FBI during Crossfire Hurricane. The name of the Trump-Russia counterintelligence investigation, and the names here, of course, we're going to see Mr. Corny here. Johnson has sought interviews with former FBI officials who led Crossfire Hurricane, including James Comey, Andrew McCabe, James Baker, Peter Strzok, and Lisa Page. We are going to see these people, ladies and gentlemen, be fried in front of the panel here, and it's going to be great. Now, I do want to let people know. We are not going to get any new information out of any of these hearings and these subpoena hearings. We're not going to get anything. What we're going to get is a bunch of finger pointing and a bunch of sound clips and a bunch of ammunition to throw into these people's faces, especially online. And we're going to be able to compare these lies to what they said years ago till now And it's going to be a real big shit show for these people, and they're going to have to face the music at some point. But the very first one we're going to be seeing here, as far as I'm able to find out, is James Comey here is set to testify on the 30th. And of all people that are going to decline to hear the actual hearing is Robert Mueller. Former FBI Director James Comey has agreed to testify before the Senate Judiciary Committee on the 30th. And Graham said the Republican chairman of the Senate panel said in a Wednesday interview with Fox News' Sean Hannity that former special counsel Robert Mueller declined a request to testify about his investigation. And here's the reason. He says he doesn't have enough time. Funny thing about time is that Mueller wasted 2 years of time going through a Russia hoax investigation, and he doesn't have time to come to this Senate hearing. Funny how that works. But as it says here in the article, the day of reckoning is upon us when it comes to Crossfire Hurricane, Graham told Hannity. And it is. The time is coming. And you want to know, we got a confirmation almost today about the time is coming because we saw this break just today from Kyle Cheney on Twitter. Just in, all Senate Judiciary Committee Democrats, and the keyword there, Democrats, including Kamala Harris, sign a letter calling for an Inspector General investigation of a political interference in the Durham probe. And look at the first paragraph here. We write to request that you investigate whether U.S. Attorney John Durham's investigation complies with Department of Justice policies, including policies that protect criminal investigation from political influence. We have John Durham here who has worked for the Democrats and Republicans, and you can't get much better than John Durham. And now they're calling for an investigation into the man himself. This man has not said a word. This investigation has been so locked tight, and they want to talk about this. They want to talk about political influence with the investigation. I can understand them saying Barr, and I don't agree with it at all. All the Democrats and everyone wants to say that Barr is Trump's lapdog, but we know it's BS. But now they want to go after Durham on top of it. And of course, you have Kamala Harris here as one of the signers of this investigation, this request to investigation. You want to talk about panic? This is what panic looks like. We knew they're going to go after Barr and Trump, obviously, but now they're starting to go after Durham. And if I'm Durham, I'm like, yo, I'm going to keep doing my own thing here. And when everything happens, it's going to happen, and it's going to be exactly at the right time. But it's really funny to see these people panic and absolutely go crazy about all this stuff. Because on the other side of it, Joe Biden is wrapped up in all of this Spygate stuff, wrapped up in all of it. And he's been on his campaign trail talking about what he's supposedly going to do for the country, how he's going to fix the country, and talking about foreign policy and talking about all this BS about how he's going to bring jobs to the United States, as if Trump wasn't killing it already with the economy, as if we're stupid and didn't see numbers, especially for minorities in all areas going up. Everyone knows what happened with the peace deal with Israel, UAE, and Middle East. We've been calling it the peace of the Middle East. Trump has been nominated for 2 Nobel Peace Prizes now. And I want you guys to go back in time, especially for me, because I wasn't woke at this moment in my life. We're going back just to 2016, not too long. I want you guys to see here when John Kerry was talking about how what Trump actually did, what he accomplished, was impossible. If you don't remember, here's a sound clip. Take a watch.
There will be no separate peace between Israel and the Arab world. I want to make that very clear to all of you. I've heard several prominent politicians in Israel sometimes saying, well, the Arab world's in a different place now. We just have to reach out to them and we can work some things with the Arab world and we'll deal with the Palestinians. No, 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 and no. I can tell you that, reaffirmed even in the last week as I have talked to leaders of the Arab community. There will be no advance and separate peace with the Arab world without the Palestinian process and Palestinian peace. Everybody needs to understand that. That is a hard reality.
That is a hard reality until we got till 2020, Mr. John Kerry. Isn't that funny? When we have Obama, Joe Biden, Hillary Clinton, John Kerry himself weighing in on foreign policy, even making fun of Trump right now. Nancy Pelosi called it a distraction. Isn't that funny? All these people that said it was impossible, and what Trump did, he did it. He did it already. And Iran's thinking about coming in this deal, and other countries now want a piece of this deal. And Trump knew this was going to happen. Everyone that didn't want the deal, we're going to be looking on the outside and looking in, and they're going to be like, we want a piece of this economy. We certainly want a piece of this. And it's happening now, and the dominoes are going to fall, and there's going to be great relationships established, an economy and normalization to the country, and it's going to bring tourism and a bunch of positive things. And John Kerry, just in 2016, literally said, this was impossible. And remember the drops that Q referenced that about Obama's shadow government. John Kerry was out there still implementing Obama policy while Trump was president. Q called this out a couple of months ago. And I just want to show that video clip just to remind people of where we're at and what this man has done, because it's been absolutely insane. And considering what Trump has gone up against, he deserves that prize for sure. Now, just to talk about this for one more moment. This was a video clip, I believe, from today. Or from August 17th, actually, exactly a month ago. The United Arab Emirates has an important message to the European Union. Take a listen to what he had to say.
So you can understand what I'm saying.
I have translation.
No, I know you have translation, but I just want to make sure you get it right. There will come a day that we will see far more radical extremists and terrorists coming out of Europe because of the lack of decision-making, trying to be politically correct, or assuming that they know the Middle East and they know Islam and they know the others far better than we do. And I'm sorry, but that's pure ignorance.
It's pure ignorance, talking about political correctness and he had a message for the European Union, pretty much saying these unions, all these world government BS that we're a part of still, we need to cut ties with it. We need to get rid of the political correctness. It's going to usher in groups, terrorist groups, and ultimately lead to destruction. And what are we dealing with right now? What were we dealing with for the years prior to the Trump administration? All of that. And what are we dealing with now? Zero war. No war. You see the difference. And he said that to the European Union. I hope to God maybe we can eventually get out of the World Trade Organization, all that stuff. We need to cut ties with it. All this globalist stuff needs to go away, because it was definitely created at some point to eventually bleed America dry, to usher in socialism and communism into the country, and then completely infiltrate from the inside out, and then goodbye America. That's what was going on here, and thank God Trump has put a monkey wrench in it. But I just thought that was an interesting point to bring up. Let's transition gears here to a story I thought was amazing, and I really don't like talking COVID too much anymore because it's been talked about ad nauseum. But this story came out of Fox 17 out of Nashville. A COVID-19 email from Nashville mayor's office showed disturbing revelation, and this is awful. The coronavirus cases on Lower Broadway may have been so low that the mayor's office and the Metro Health Department decided to keep it secret. Emails between the mayor's senior advisor and the health department reveal only a partial picture, but what they reveal is disturbing. The discussion involves a low number of coronavirus cases emerging from bars and restaurants and how to handle that. On June 30th, contact tracing was given a small view of coronavirus clusters. Construction and nursing homes were found to be causing problems with more than 1,000 cases traced to each category, but bars and restaurants reported just 22 cases. Leslie Waller from the health department asked, this isn't going to be publicly released, right? Just info for mayor's office? Correct. Not for public consumption, writes senior advisor Benjamin Eagles. You know what that sounds like? That sounds like a cover-up. A month later, the health department was asked point blank about the rumor where only 80 cases traced to bars and restaurants. Tennessee Lookout reporter Nate Rao asked, the figure you gave of more than 80 does lead to a natural question if there have been over 20,000 positive cases of COVID in Davidson and only 80 or so are traced to restaurants and bars. Doesn't that mean restaurants and bars aren't a very big problem? It's so annoying and aggravating and just completely irritates me. It's common sense. They knew it wasn't a problem. Can you imagine? Just in a regular city of Nashville, 20 people probably would get a cold. A regular cold in that amount of time, just from being around people in general. But they only found these 80 cases traced to bars and restaurants, and yet they are still shut down. The mayor knew it, didn't want the information to get out to the public. Why? Because he knew that would be an issue with people that, have jobs, families, businesses to take care of. And it gets worse. It gets worse. My 2 cents, we have certainly refused to give counts per bar because those numbers are low per site. We could still release the total though, and then a response to the over 80 could be because that number is increasing all the time, and we don't want to say a specific number. Glover says this is Metro Nashville orchestrating a cover-up. They are fabricating information, Glover said. They've blown their entire credibility, Dennis. It's gone. I don't trust a thing they say going forward. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. And can you blame them? And this is just one city in the country. One city. I wonder how many lives have been ruined because of this. And can you imagine being a bar owner in that area now, or just anywhere in general, knowing that there were 22 reported cases of COVID, and they decided, and they are still closed now to this day. We are midway through September, going into October. How disgusting is this? And you know who had to weigh in on this? The Honey Badger himself. This came out yesterday. Attorney General William Barr says that other than slavery, coronavirus stay-at-home orders are the greatest intrusion on civil liberties in American history. Listen to the man himself.
Putting a national lockdown, stay-at-home orders is like house arrest. It's other than slavery, which was a different kind of restraint, this is the greatest intrusion on civil liberties in American history.
He's absolutely right, and I've been saying it since this whole thing started. This has been like house arrest with benefits almost. You just can't go anywhere. You're not in trouble. You can't enjoy life. You can't do anything with your family. You can't meet friends. You can't go out and enjoy being a human being. They've taken away a huge part of what it means to be human, especially, and people don't think this is a big deal with the mask. They've taken away those identities when we put those muzzles on our faces. This is all planned out, and everything that's happening was planned for a future response in preparation for what we're going to be talking about in the middle to the end of the episode. And you're going to see it. You're going to see it. And I hope to God this ends hopefully after November as far as the COVID, because the narrative is going to shift to something much more violent and much more intense than I think COVID has been since this whole entire thing started with the pandemic. But another story here I want to talk about. If you're watching Fox News still, besides Tucker Carlson, you need to turn it off. And it was so apparent as to why I'm saying that now. This has to be the most awkward interaction I've seen on a news channel in my entire life. And if you guys didn't see this, you're about to see it now. This is from Jewish Deplorable on Twitter here. Fox News panel melts down when Gingrich calls out Soros. And now Newt Gingrich is you see it here. He's going to call out Soros for a lot of the problems that we're facing now. And you're going to see how Newt Gingrich gets completely dismissed and the awkward interaction here. It's cringeworthy times a million. Take a watch.
Pro-criminal and overwhelmingly elected with George Soros's money. And they're a major cause of the violence we're seeing because they keep putting the violent criminals back on the street.
I'm not sure we need to bring George Soros into this.
I was going to say you get the last word, Speaker.
He paid for it. I mean, why can't we discuss the fact that millions of dollars he spent?
I agree with Melissa. George Soros doesn't need to be a part of this conversation.
Okay. So it's verboten.
All right, we're going to. Okay, we're going to move on.
Oh. Oh my God. Dear Lord. Dear Lord. Now, what does that say? What does that say? The whole interaction, she didn't even know how to respond to it. She had no idea how to respond to it. And you see the awkwardness. She didn't even know what to say. It was silence. And I don't even know who this other woman was that was talking about it. She literally she said, we don't have to talk about that. We don't need to bring George Soros into this. Why is Fox protecting George Soros? It's not like this huge conspiracy theory that George Soros isn't involved with buying these DAs, which we're going to talk about in just a moment, and funding Black Lives Matter. That's public knowledge, but Fox doesn't even want to talk about it. Doesn't want to talk about it. And they tried doing damage control today, and a shout out to my boy Methods. He has a couple of clips in the stream tonight. She went on here and tried to do damage control, and it was even more almost as cringeworthy to watch the previous video. Watch this.
So we had a little incident on the show yesterday that was not smooth. And while I was leading that segment, we had interruptions, and I sat silently while all of that played out. Also not ideal. Our guest, former House Speaker Newt Gingrich, who is beloved and needed to be allowed to speak with the openness and respect that the show is all about, was interrupted. Do we debate with fire here? Yes. But we must also give each other the space to express ourselves. As the only original member of the 6-year-old amazing daytime ride known as Outnumbered, I especially want to rock and roll with every voice and perspective at the table. We don't censor on this show, and that's why we're winning weekdays at noon.
We don't censor on this show. We just don't want to talk about George Soros here. What a disgusting thing. And I wrote in a tweet underneath, they must have hired Biden's PR team to write the script on the teleprompter for that one. Absolutely disgusting. How do you reconcile that? How do you sit there and say that? It just blows my mind. And are you really surprised that, the top execs probably put in that call, hey, George Soros, that's off the book. We cannot talk about that. We need to stop that right there. And they want to talk about, we don't censor on this platform. Give me an absolute break. Now, getting back to George Soros, if you really want to dive into it a little bit here, there is some more video of Soros manipulating the media and people talking about it, and also of him funding Black Lives Matter. And I have the clip here also from Jewish Deplorable talking about this. It says, here's another gem. She says that Soros is funding Black Lives Matter.
Open Society Foundation has given over $500,000 to Black Lives Matter because they want to be able to support Black Lives Matters as it grows. They're worried, that they won't know how to grow properly, and they want to help them dismantle structural inequality. That was in one of the memos that was released in the data dump.
What does that mean?
They basically want to help Black Lives Matter further their agenda. And I think it's an issue also that the Democratic Party needs to address, because so many Democrats have openly endorsed Black Lives Matter. And now that we see that this guy who is funding Hillary Clinton is also funding Black Lives Matter, that's a problem, and that's something that Americans should be aware of.
Absolutely. Thanks for bringing it to our attention. Caitlin Collins from the Daily Caller.
Now, Katie Collins, I think she's at CNN now. Yeah, she's now at CNN, but talking about Soros donating to Black Lives Matter. Why would he donate to Black Lives Matter if he had no special interest into what they were doing and their cause, which we know their true cause at this point? And this isn't the first time that this has been brought up. And the fact that Fox wouldn't want this called out, this has been common knowledge for a long time. And you can go back in the Wayback Machine a little bit here to December 21st, 2019 from a Gateway Pundit article. AJ Barr calls out George Soros for subverting legal system and causing increase in violent crime and more victims through targeting district attorney races. Far-left billionaire George Soros has been systematically targeting district attorney races throughout the United States. Many of his backed candidates have won their races and are causing havoc across the country. This week, a U.S. Attorney General Barr spoke with Martha McCallum on Fox News. Bill Barr called out George Soros for subverting the legal system in the U.S. and creating more crime and violence. And I saw a map online of all the districts that he has put money towards as far as backing up these DAs. And they're all the numbers that I were seeing, as far as money, it's a lot. It may seem a lot of money to you, but to George Soros, $800,000. I think the most money I saw was $1.2 million that he put towards a certain DA in certain key states that he purchased, essentially, backed up their campaign, and they eventually won. Now, if you're a DA and you know you won by George Soros, who do you think you're going to be taking the orders from? It's common sense. It's common sense. And again, another example was from October of 2019. He helped Krasner become Philly's DA. Now billionaire George Soros is back in Pennsylvania with $1 million, this time to get a Delco Democrat elected. He is pushing his money towards Democrat nominees, getting them elected, and then essentially controlling them from the outside, pushing his agenda, as we're seeing being played out right now. And Fox News just doesn't want to be a part of that at all. Doesn't want to be a part of that, especially the part where George Soros has donated money to BLM, and who we now know is all wrapped up with Antifa and all these groups that are going to try to subvert the government, especially, I think, try to start anarchy, complete anarchy, especially from Election Day on. And we're going to have to see how that plays out. But it's really, really interesting to see the dodgy moves by mainstream media. Even people that say, oh, Fox News is still good, it's not CNN. It's garbage. It's absolute garbage. And you can see these people lying right to your face with their BS PR subjugated garbage that they wrote up that sounds nice and flashy, but it's all filled with lies, and you can see right through it. Absolutely see right through it. Now, one thing before we cover the drops today. One thing, my boy Methods got these clips of Director Wray, of FBI Director Wray, in the hearing today, talking about Antifa and QAnon. And I want you guys to watch these clips because there's two clips. You can see he compares what Antifa is and what he thinks QAnon is. And we're going to learn something also in the third clip that not many people are talking about and that he found, which was really great. First one up, though, Wray is talking about Antifa, and let's hear his description of this group.
You know, when I hear this, Antifa is there, or Antifa is doing this, I'm still trying to figure out who and what Antifa is. Could you enlighten me?
Well, first let me say, as I think I said in response to an earlier question, Antifa is a real thing. It's not a fiction, but it is. It's not an organization or a structure. We view it more as we understand it to be more of a kind of a movement, or maybe you could call it an ideology. And we certainly have, as I've said, a number of, and we have had for some time, and we've opened quite a number this year, of improperly predicated investigations into violent anarchist extremists who subscribe to self-identify with Antifa. They say, I am Antifa, things like that. And we have seen individuals, I think I've mentioned this in response to one of the earlier questions, identified with the Antifa movement, coalescing regionally into what you might describe as small groups or nodes, and we are actively investigating the potential of violence from those regional nodes, if you will.
Big stuff. Big stuff there. And you want to know what he didn't say? Antifa is not a myth. It's a real thing. It's a real group. It's a real thing. Now, let's compare that to when he was asked about QAnon. Let's see what he has to say about QAnon. Here we go.
So I'm interested. QAnon activity has resulted in arrest of persons planning to carry out violent acts based on the nonsense spouted in web forums and social media that form the core of QAnon beliefs. How do you characterize that organization?
How do I characterize QAnon?
QAnon activity has resulted in arrest of persons planning to carry out violent acts. How do you assess that organization as it relates to violent acts?
So we view QAnon as essentially less of an organization and more of a sort of a complex set of conspiracy theories. And certainly we have had cases that properly predicated cases involving violence where people have been motivated by some of those conspiracy theories. But as you said, we don't investigate the ideology or the conspiracy theory itself. I don't think we've seen lethal attacks involving that kind of motivation, but we have certainly.
So your investigations would be driven based upon any violent acts?
Correct. Violent. We no matter what ideology or belief it is of domestic violent extremism, we look at three things: one, violence or a threat of violence; two, a federal crime, obviously; and then third, the motivation that fuels it. If we have to have those three things to open an investigation.
Well, there you have it. You have to have those three things to open an investigation. And this whole idea that the FBI said QAnon is a domestic terrorist group and all that just went right out the window. And you can show your friends and family that clip right there because it's not true. The director of the FBI just said it. Not in those exact words, but you can imply from what he's saying. Huge difference between that and Antifa. Huge difference. Now, this clip here that I want to play, this one clip here, Dan Crenshaw was questioning Director Wray, and I see people saying, well, why does it matter what Wray has to say? We can't stand Wray. We don't trust him. There is something here that we all need to hear loud and clear, and Methods is the one that found this, and it's an excellent, excellent point. And what you're about to hear is going to be a little bit shocking, so let's hear him question, and I'm going to describe what this is all about here in just a moment. Take a listen and watch this for just a minute.
So I want to read you the definition of domestic terrorism. Section 2331 says domestic terrorism has three components. A, involve acts dangerous to human life that are a violation of the criminal laws of the United States or of any state. B, appear to be intended, first, to intimidate or coerce a civilian population. Two, to influence the policy of a government by intimidation or coercion. Or three, to affect the conduct of a government by mass destruction, assassination, or kidnapping. And C, occur primarily within the territorial jurisdiction of the United States. Does that at all match the activities of Antifa?
Well, certainly matches the activity of some of the individuals we're investigating and have pursued other kinds of charges against. You put your finger on a little bit of a legal predicament, which is that there is not currently in Title 18 a domestic terrorism offense or crime as such. There's a definition.
It seems pretty specific.
Well, there's a definition, but ironically, there's not a, unlike on the international foreign terrorist side, there's not a crime of domestic terrorism that you can charge.
Listen to what he just said.
There's foreign terrorist side. There's not a crime of domestic terrorism that you can charge. So typically, we, in domestic terrorism cases, including of the sort you're describing, we're pursuing explosive charges, firearms charges, rioting charges you mentioned, or other.
Are you prevented from, say, following the money, following the websites that these groups are clearly organizing? Again, it seems strange to me that we can't call it a group.
We're not precluded.
And he goes on to continue right after that. But the main point is, he says, we don't have a basis for charging these people with domestic terrorism yet. That was news to me. Trump hasn't signed the executive order for this yet to designate Antifa as a terrorist group yet, and it's going to happen. Who knows when it's going to happen, but it's going to. But you heard what he said right there. We don't have the means, we don't have the act of crime of domestic terrorism to charge them for that yet. We go after explosives, weapons, whatever other crimes they can get these people for. But it's not an actual being affiliated with this group as a terrorist organization, and that is huge. I didn't know that myself. I'm thinking, all this stuff is already happening. It hasn't happened yet. It hasn't happened yet. And it's just really interesting to see and hear that from the director. And that is why I played those clips. Everybody in the chat says we hate Wray. I don't really trust Wray either. A lot of people don't. But that is why I wanted you guys to see that and hear that tonight. That is very, very important to know. Hopefully that's going to change. I think it's going to change. It has to, because what we're seeing, especially from certain drops, things are going to get a lot more spicy very, very soon. But to give you guys just a little bit of relaxation of don't jump off the cliff yet. Trump was asked tonight, this was yesterday. Trump was asked about the rioting on election night. And let's hear what he had to say about it.
Bill Barr told prosecutors that he wants to charge violent demonstrators with sedition. And you told Judge Janine that if there's violent demonstrations on election night, we'll put them down very quickly if they do that. Look, it's called an insurrection. So I'm wondering why you want to use that kind of rhetoric when there's such a
Well, the question was asked to me about if you have violent demonstrations. Yes, we will put it down very, very quickly if there is. Absolutely.
Are you making fun
And I
of-
think the American public wants to see that. Yeah, OAN.
We will put it down very, very quickly if there is, absolutely. And I think the American public wants to see that. And damn straight, we definitely want to see these people put down and put in prison for a very long time. And it's really funny. Methods pointed out to me earlier today. There was these ads going on Twitter about the takeover of the White House. Today was going to be the day that happened. And the funny thing was, it's not happening. And you want to know why? They're blaming it because it's raining outside. They don't want to get wet. These badass Antifa were supposed to go to the White House and attempt to take it over. But you want to know what it is? You want to know what it is? Bill Barr started to bring out that let's start charging these people with sedition. And you know what sedition carries? A 20-year sentence, federal crime. I think that more than rain is what stopped this takeover of the White House that happened today. Funny thing when consequences are presented that certain actions by these groups are stopped and they just disappear. Amazing how that works, isn't it? Absolutely crazy. Let's get into the drops, shall we? So the first one I want to talk about here. Everybody put your tinfoil hats on. This was a tweet here, 4720, linking here, Bodie Crane with Mark Esper talking about Russia and China weaponizing satellites for direct energy weapons. Take a listen.
Meanwhile, in space, Moscow and Beijing have turned a once peaceful arena into a warfighting domain. They have weaponized space through killer satellites, directed energy weapons, and more in an effort to exploit our systems and chip away at our military advantage.
Killer satellite weapons and direct energy weapons. Now, I knew people were going to go crazy when Q had linked this, which is, you know, it is what it is. I covered direct energy weapons last October. I did 2 episodes on it. I went into a little bit of detail about it. I'm going to bring some of it up a little bit later, but we're going to come back to that. But it's funny how people made fun of Trump when he brought in the Space Force and how they laughed at him. And there was even movies made on Netflix about making fun. I think it was Steve Carell making fun of the Space Force. Isn't that funny? Isn't that funny now that we're hearing of Russia and China weaponizing satellites and getting advantages over certain parts of what we thought was peaceful as space as being problems now? And Q linked this. They wanted us to know this for a reason. Not exactly sure on that reason, but either way, very important to note. 4721 is a link to a YouTube video here, the one that was playing during the intro. It got triggered. This was talking about the color. Let's see here. Where is it here? The color. Yeah, there we go. 4722. They're talking about these color revolutions. And this video here was also referencing to the color revolutions, talking about how there is a playbook of what happened with Russia and Ukraine. I think it was 2014, where it wasn't a military takeover like they do in Iraq, where they just get the military, they rush in, they take out the leader forcibly, and then he's banished, or they do whatever the hell they do with him. That is not what's happening. What happened in Ukraine and Russia, it was more of a, they say in the video, a more delicate approach where they take the public opinion and they slowly take over certain parts of the country, and then they eventually get the public opinion behind them, and then that person is removed without killing anybody. And this is exactly what's happening right now in this country. If you don't think it's happening, look at the next drop here. 4722, add it all up. Virus, riots, organized Antifa, the why. Make no mistake, they will not concede on election night. Make no mistake, they will contest this legally in battleground states. Make no mistake, they will project doubt in the election results. Make no mistake, they will organize massive riots and attempt anarchy. 99 design, playbook known. And think about it. You have the virus, scares the hell out of the entire country. We're told to stay inside. And while that's happening, all these rioters are outside, taking over, burning stuff down, burning down the Western Hemisphere. They went from cities to some suburbs, to burning down forest and completely ravaging whatever area they were in, and pretending to actually, they're so sneaky. In the previous drops before this that we covered, there's some of them that are literally driving around with fire extinguishers, water, pretending to help, using that as cover, but actually starting the fires while pretending to help firefighters and all. This is what they're doing. And Q has called all this stuff out. But think about it. While we're all inside, afraid, no one's outside with their Second Amendment weapons, and these people come in, and within a week, 2 weeks, it's already over. These people will come in, and government's gone. They occupy space. They will not leave. And that is that. Overnight done. The government's gone. And then what's left? We're left with the anarchist. This is what Q is saying when the playbook is already known, because this has happened in other countries. It's been attempted. And this, Antifa and BLM and these whatever groups they're associated with, they are too far in now to give up, to back down. They're going to go full. They're going to go absolutely ham, especially on election night and probably beyond. No matter what the election results are, this is going to happen. And this is what Q was talking about. 4723. This is linking Josh Kaplan here on a tweet. AJ Barr tells prosecutors to consider charging violent protesters with sedition, which we brought up. And instead of getting charged with burning down buildings, arson, attacking an officer, which does give you a pretty good time in jail, but sedition carries a 20-year sentence. If you're a young kid, if you're your young 20s, mid-20s, 30s, which we see a lot of these people, these rioters of their age, I don't think they want to spend their glory days, their glory years in a federal prison. But this is what Q's talking about. It says the media is complicit. Fact checkers created to reinforce the same narrative propaganda they themselves created. Social media censor, terminate, silence anti-narrative accounts. Echo system of control. Mission keep the public controlled and in the dark. Information warfare. Information warfare. 4724. Why did it take an outsider to finally deliver the start of peace in the Middle East? Why did it take an outsider to finally deliver the start of peace in the Middle East? News coverage, front page, missile strike attempt to terminate. Peace doesn't sell, warfare does. Money, evil, and corruption at highest levels. And it says Q. While the peace deals are being signed, there were missiles that were fired into the Gaza Strip, and not many people were talking about it. As far as I know, no one was killed. But Q was bringing up an excellent point, talking, why does it take an outsider, somebody that's not part of the DC establishment, to get this stuff done? We saw what John Kerry said. He said it was impossible and can never be done. But Trump did it, and he's still doing it, and more countries are jumping in and into it. But what do wars sell? War makes money. Media loves war. It takes all the attention from the public to focus in on war, death, and all this other bad stuff is happening in the background, and you're not paying attention to it because there are soldiers dying. We're at war with other countries. It just makes money. It makes sense. And Q is just pointing this out here. As we continue here, 4725, this is just linking Catherine Herridge here, talking about more of the omissions and all four. Talking about the FISA court, we already know about this. This is just a reiteration of that. Don't have to go into too much detail into all this on this one. 4726, again, talking about these direct energy weapons, linking, let's see here, I think this is the one. Live, Esper speaks to the DoD Air Force Association, and this was the live video and the clip of what I just saw previously, and Q also linked Air Force harnessing the power of directed energy. And for everyone that said these things don't exist, they absolutely do exist. And this is where I'm going to bring up something I pointed out in my video from last year for anyone that was questioning that these weapons actually exist. And when you go into Google patents here, all you have to do is search solar powered space weapon, and it gives you exactly what these things are. And they even call them, some of them, Death Stars. And the best part about this is everyone knows about PG&E when those wildfires started, and everyone was saying that it's so weird how they're starting and the path that they're taking. They just seem completely staged. And how is this happening? And PG&E, when you look at the patent and you scroll down just a little bit of ways here. I believe I highlighted it. Nope, did not. I'll find it though. Give me 1 second, ladies and gentlemen. I will find it. Solar powered space station, signing up right here. Pacific Gas and Electric Company of San Francisco recently signed a supply agreement with Solar Corp of Manhattan Beach, California for 200 megawatts of electricity generated in space and transmitted by microwave beam to receiving station in Fresno County, California. The contract calls for the power to begin to flow in 2016. PG&E were the ones that fell on the sword for a lot of the fires that happened in the previous year, and they were sued. But this company here were the first ones to sign up for this energy flow back in 2016. And we just heard that these satellites can be outfitted at some point. If they're just regular satellites, they can be outfitted with this weaponry if they so please. So we can put to bed that these things don't exist. My problem is I have a hard time proving that these weapons are actually used on the ground. And I've seen the videos, ladies and gentlemen. I've seen the videos of certain trees not being burned, only houses and cars and tires being melted. I get it. I've seen it. For me, it's not enough to convince me that that is exactly what's happening. These weapons do exist, but I'm not so a year ago I was a lot more immature as far as the knowledge that I have now. But these things do exist, and Q is definitely pointing this out for a reason. So it's something to keep an eye on. 4727, we have a picture or screenshot of Victoria's Secret reportedly continuing to work with modeling agency after it was accused of supplying underage girls to Jeffrey Epstein. And of course, we know this is Les Wexner, the owner of Victoria's Secret, and we know him and Jeffrey Epstein were really good buddies. It was Wexner's Manhattan mansion that Epstein pretty much bought for nothing and lived there. That was Les Wexner's mansion. And how perfect is it that you have an operation that Epstein was running with Ghislaine Maxwell, and you have access to young models, young, beautiful models like that are Victoria's Secret. Everyone sees the commercials, and you're best friends with the owner, and you know damn well they were definitely funneling girls from those programs and scouting agents. They had this whole entire thing. This is why Q's bringing it up. 4728. Here's another picture of Prince Andrew. This one's new. This one down here, and it looks like this could be Virginia. Could be Virginia Giuffre. I'm not really sure. I'm assuming that it is. Assuming that it is. But Q is pointing this out. Really not sure as to why as yet. 4729. Another picture here. We saw this one previously of him, Bill Clinton here getting a massage. And here's the infamous clock. Here's the infamous clock that was my thumbnail. Now, when you look at it, there's a lot of interpretations as to what this means, but what is pointed out here is that the hour hand is on the 10. The minute hand is also, it looks like it's on the 9 or 10, but you can see here there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 seconds here, or 8 minutes, excuse me. 8 minutes here in red. Now, a lot of people, they're trying to decode that and trying to figure out exactly what that is. I've seen a bunch of theories, but one theory that caught my eye that I thought was really interesting that I want you guys to see. This is from Darkness Destroyer. He says it's 10-8, military code for in custody. If this is what Q means, then BC and PA featured in the previous 2 drops have been arrested. It could also be 10-8 police code, which means in service, definitions below. Now, I'm not willing to say that people are in custody, people have been arrested. I'm not really sure. And I don't know what these things mean. I don't go crazy trying to figure out, because in my mind, we're going to find out eventually. So why drive yourself crazy trying to decode something that you're really not going to have any certainty about anyways? And you hate making dates and times and forecasting those, because if you're wrong, you're going to look like a big idiot, especially if you put it on social media. So if you're going to do that, keep it to yourself to save you some headaches. Trust me, I've learned from personal experience from when I started earlier. But it's really interesting. I would love to know what you guys think in the chat. What do you think that is? Do you think it could be a date? The 10 meaning October? We've heard so many times of Trump saying the October surprise. There could be so many things that this could mean, but we'll have to wait and see what happens. We'll have to wait and see. 4731, talking about Q, saying sometimes non-domestic sources of information provide a more accurate report. And when you go to the article that they linked here, it is talking about YPG PKK recruited foreign fighters from Antifa groups in Western countries, report says. And it says a recent report called Foreign Terrorist Fighters in PKK, YPG in Syria, Violent Extremism Backfires has revealed the relationship between these terrorists in Syria and Antifa movements in Western countries. Wow. Wow, that is crazy. Warning about the possible negative effects of turning a blind eye to these extremist groups' activities. When the U.S. president announced that Antifa would be designated a terrorist organization, many turned their eyes to the controversial Antifa movements. Although Antifa and some of its members' criminal acts terrorizing their societies may be a new phenomena, for many, they remain well known to those who have been monitoring the current developments. Related to terrorism in the Middle East, the report underlined, first, having a far-left ideology, the PKK, again, what a coincidence, it's a far-left ideology. The PKK has easily penetrated into various leftist movements in Western countries through its established transnational networks. Second, the PKK-YPG has also reinforced its units through far-right extremist foreigners and cooperated with far-right armed groups, the report also indicated. And as it can be observed in the case of Antifa and far-right terror groups working with the YPG in Syria and Iraq, that rival terror group can build unexpected allegiances and exploit the same tragic public events to promote their narratives, e.g. the death of George Floyd. And what did we hear from Bill Barr when he testified about what was happening with the actual peaceful protesters? He would say there was a cycle to it. They would start out as peaceful protests, and then these people would inject themselves into these protests, take it over, and then it turned into violence. These people are using events like the death of George Floyd and using extremely emotional, harming events, injecting themselves at the opportunity to start a movement and cloak themselves in the narrative to push their ideology under the rug, beneath eyes. This is all being done under wraps, and before you know it, it's too late. These people get injected, their ranks rise, and now we're seeing a full-on push of what we're dealing with here. This isn't an infiltration instead of an invasion. It's happening, and it's happening right now, and Q is pointing this out. 4732. And Anon writes, I'm not turning a blind eye. I'm just waiting for justice to arrive. Let it be soon, please. And Q writes here, they bring up another drop here this is from June 2nd, 2020. But even before, I'll pull it up here so you guys can see it. But even before riots exploded across the United States in the aftermath of George Floyd's death, federal and local officials have long been investigating the inner workings and revenue stream of the anarchist left-wing outfit. And arrest among its highest ranks may be imminent. Intelligence sources pointed out that indictments have been building for some time, and a close examination of funding revenues remains under the microscope. While Antifa operates as something of a leaderless militant wing, sources closely engaged in the matter said that they were identifiable top brass driving the inciting criminal activity. So if it helps you, ladies and gentlemen, this is why I keep saying, people keep butchering me for it, to trust the plan, hold the faith that this stuff has been looked at for a while and they are on top of it. And Q puts in their next drop right after this. And Anon writes, very reassuring. And they do a screenshot of drop 1585 talking about organized riots being planned back in June 21st of 2018. Think how far back, 2 years ago. Q wrote, organized riots are being planned. Countermeasures in place. And that is something that should put everyone a little bit of reinsurance. Countermeasures in place. Resistance far smaller than portrayed by mainstream media. And the mainstream media is not talking about it. 2 years ago, Q was talking about this. Attacks will intensify. You collectively are a massive threat. Censorship applied to scale down impact reach. It's failing. Trust yourself. Public awakening. That should really put some people at ease. And I really, really hope it does. And now, the last drop that I want to talk about tonight is 4734. And what I was working on before my show with my YouTube channel and all my social media. You're going to want to see this as we wrap up. 4734. Q links a screenshot here of a previous drop from January 23rd, 2018. Q writes, do not glorify us. We are all patriots. Honor those who serve for God, humanity, and country. Where we go one, we go all. And Q writes, focus on content, information, research for yourself. Gatekeeper, noun. A person that controls access as to information, often acting as an arbiter of quality or legitimacy. An open internet allows innovators to bypass traditional gatekeepers to promote their work on its own merit. A guardian, monitor, deploy, camouflage, drop. This is what I want everyone to see. Drop all references referencing Q, QAnon, etc. to avoid ban termination. Censorship, install. There's algorithms, sniffers, bypass, keep charging midnight riders, Revere's midnight ride, delivery of free information, bypass controlled media narrative. If you have anything referencing Q or QAnon on your social media platforms, get rid of it now. And with the last drop that I want to talk about, this is exactly why, and I'll explain it. And Anon wrote, if somebody comes to accept truth or swallow a red pill without knowing it was associated with Q, then they do so unpolluted by media bias. Bypass prejudice makes sense. That's what Anon was all about, right? Nobody cares about ranks or names or upvotes or e-stardom. The content of your post should speak for itself. Ideas. And I've been saying this for months, ladies and gentlemen. The events that have been happening in this country have been enough for most people that I know to question, to at least question what's going on and who they believe should be leading this country. And I said it for a while. I didn't think Q was going to post as much as they did. I thought they were going to stop linking tweets because of a fear of the censorship of Twitter knows they can see trends and see when a huge amount of traffic go towards one tweet. They can see if something's been queued. We've seen accounts get deplatformed for being queued, for being retweeted by the president that has Q stuff on it. We've seen it. We have seen it. So where we're at right now, what I was saying before is, as far as people, normal people that don't know anything about QAnon, they're seeing these events play out and they know something's wrong, something is off. But with the media bias saying QAnon's a cult, all these made up stories about QAnon, they might believe that, oh, this might be associated with Q. I don't want anything to do with that. But if they come to terms with something, a red pill moment of themselves, without having QAnon or that media influence saying Q is bad, and they go away from that idea, that's what they're talking about here. The movement has gotten large enough to where we don't need to have Q everywhere. We need to come back, put our camouflage on, and essentially look like normies, but drop content, drop information that speaks for itself, that is so clear and so truthful, it can't be denied. That's where I'm going with everything that I'm doing on this channel, and why I said this will probably be the last day where I cover Q in depth like this in drops. Because at this point, we don't need to cover everything that we've been covering, what we've been doing. We don't have to anymore. Enough people are in this digital army, and enough people are ready, and enough people are red-pilled, or they're at that precipice where they're getting ready to be red-pilled and they know something is wrong. We need to put on camouflage. We need to be smart about this, and we need to press on. And we're going to get through this together, and we're going to win this information battle. And last one is Rig for Red 4736. We've seen this drop multiple times. Multiple meetings to it. To me, me personally, I think Q is maybe carrying out operations. Remember, not all the drops are for people like us. They're roadmaps to others. They have operators. They're carrying out their own operations. We have to remember that. And there you have it. So please, ladies and gentlemen, please take my advice. Because I know some of the creators out there, some of the other ones, we're getting chewed out because we're not covering Q as much as we used to. And they're saying it could be because we want to protect our channels and protect our numbers. And that has nothing to do with it. That has literally nothing to do with it. A lot of us have put our lives into this movement full time because we know how important this is and how important this is for our futures. I would like to make it to November. I would like to see all the work that I've been doing, all of you out there have been doing with your accounts, with red pilling, all the other creators out there. I want to get to the finish line. And the finish line is when Trump gets reelected. And then we can reassess what the efforts are going after that, because nothing matters until that happens. It has nothing to do with numbers. I didn't get into this to get a Twitter following, to get a YouTube following. I didn't dream this I would get as, I guess you could say, as big as I've gotten, which I really don't consider it that big. Personally, it's been a wonderful thing, but that's not why I did it. I did this because I saw what was happening in the world. I had a red pill moment, a huge spiritual awakening, and I had to get all this out there to let people know what I was seeing. And the fact that you guys are out there listening is just, it's a blessing. And I love each and every one of you, and this is why I always say the woke fam is strong. So if you go back in my previous videos, you're going to see everything that's related to, as Red Pill and Methods always say, our favorite anon. It's been taken out of headlines. It's been removed. So everything on your social media profiles, get rid of it. Anything regarding Q. We need people to be not deplatformed. We need as many of you as possible. Everyone matters. Everyone matters, and we're going to get through this information war on our own. We're going to do it. We're going to do it. So thank you guys. I know we went a little bit over time, but I wanted to get that out there. I wanted to get that out there, get that off my chest. I think we hit like 2,400 viewers, so I'll see if I do this again, live streaming next week, and we'll see what we go on from here. So thank you mods for being here tonight. Thank you everybody that was out here. We are all a huge family. We have to remember that we are all a huge family of patriots that just care deeply for this country, and we don't want to see what's happening. We don't want these people to take over. We do not want to lose this country, especially for the future of our children. We don't need it. So you guys have been fantastic. I'll let you guys go. It's been a great night. You guys are wonderful. But before you go to the YouTube channel, like, share, subscribe, tell your friends and family. We are the news now. Check out my Patreon. I have awesome benefits on the Patreon. You get an extra live stream out of me every week, and you guys can donate $1, $5, $17. It does not matter. You guys, when you do this, you are personally subscribing to my channel, and it helps me survive and do this on a full-time basis. And especially before you go, check out wokesociety.com, my beautiful webpage. Go to the store page here and check out all the beautiful merch. When you go to new to old, you can see all the newest products that we have, and you can see that where we go one, we go all, hooded t-shirts, hoodies, all that good stuff, bottles, water bottles, coffee mugs, hats. We got it all. There's something that I know each and every one of you will like, and it supports 2 local businesses here in New York that are greatly appreciative of it, and it's going back into American businesses, which there's nothing better than that. So thank you guys. Thank you so much. So with that, stay safe, stay warm, and stay woke.